More mystery to cozy up to this winter coming right up, so stay tuned. Today we're featuring Dana Knightstone, Death and Betrayal in Romania, released in August 2014 by Boomzap Entertainment. This is the 5th installment of the Dana Knightstone novel series, and this time we're following Dana as she travels to Romania, to look for more ghosts of star-crossed lovers as inspiration for her latest novel. Unfortunately, she got caught in an avalanche but was quickly saved by the sole caretaker of an empty castle.
There should be warm clothes in the closet. I'll prepare a room for you and we'll be right back.
How convenient. While recovering in the castle, she meets the ghost of the very much dead, but also very much pissed off Count Lucian, who repeatedly mistook Dana for his fiancée Alexandra, who stood him at the altar. Well, it didn't help that Alexandra was inconveniently murdered the night before the wedding.
Yet here I am, still standing here like a fool, waiting for you to break my heart again.
Okay, Lucian, calm down. Your fiancé got stabbed, remember? Apparently, Alexandra's killer was caught, her personal bodyguard, a hottie with no money called Nikolai, and promptly executed. No less by the Count himself, because, maybe it's not okay to argue with the master of the castle, especially when he's wielding an axe. End of story, right? Obviously no. That's why Dana's super clairvoyant talent is needed. The difference of this one from the very first Dana Knightstone game, Death at Faring Point, that we reviewed here before, is that there are now 3 different modes of gameplay in this game. Also in this game, Dana has a ghost assistant in the form of a dog called Bandit, whom you can call to retrieve stuff from places that an earthly body couldn't reach. Or more like in an area that requires a ladder or a reacher grabber. Having Bandit also adds a bit of light-hearted touch to a game series that mainly features murdered lovers and complicated relationships. Bandit also kinda reminds me of the other HOPA game detectives' non-human assistants like Elf of Mystery Trackers. For once, it's nice to know that as Dana, I won't be solving the case on my own, especially if I'm being badgered by this
There was no point in living after you left, but now you've returned to me.
The minigames are mostly familiar and seem to rely heavily on slider puzzles, but are sprinkled throughout the game in a pleasant distribution, keeping the gameplay moving along at a nice clip without bogging down the story. The hog scenes are especially fun to navigate as each is a multi-layered puzzle rather than the usual find these 20 items on the list although you only need one routine, found so often in other HOPA games. And if you're starting to feel a bit at a loss as you open more locations to explore, there's a map that can show you where you are and if there's any action that can be done. Although I believe that this is only available on the casual game mode. Feel free to correct me, fellow gamers. Like Faring Point, the graphics are gorgeous with appropriate palette shades for each scene. But the same cannot be said about the voice. In Faring Point, we reviewed that it's only got one voice provided solely for Dana's narration.
I swear to you, my lord, I have proof Nikolai was responsible.
Then he must be punished.
In Death and Betrayal, there are several other voice actors that range from good to over the top. And in this case, Count Lucian.
They all betrayed me!
Is it just me or does Lucian kinda look similar to Ross Poldark? Although I must say that there are times when there are no voices in some scenes when it needs to be. Although we only encountered the spectral image of Count Lucian, he came across as possessive, short-tempered, and demanding. Okay, it must be hard being a count running your own castle and trying to watch for any signs of mutiny among the staff. But if we're to base our impressions on his behavior, I think had he and Alexandra got married, there's a chance that the blissful period in their marriage would only last a few years, or even months. I know that Alexandra has a heart of gold, but I think she'll end up either an alcoholic or constantly needing therapy for being married to an overgrown teenager with an attitude problem. Or she could have done the murder herself, if I'm being honest. For tinfoil hat moment. Although this game suggests that Alexandra was murdered by Victor in order to frame and bump off Nikolai, whom he feels is a competition on the royal court promotion ladder, what if Victor also poisoned and murdered Alexandra because he's got secret hots for Count Lucian? Although it wasn't extensively explored, it also appears that Nikolai did have secret feelings for Lady Alexandra. But because she's scheduled to marry his employer and, it's more financially comfortable for her to be married to a count than to a knight, any chances of him tapping that noble lady bum is definitely out of question. Listening to Alexandra's replies to Nikolai,
"Will you be happy for us?"
Sorry, Nick. We can also note that Lucian's castle is currently maintained by a caretaker, so there's a chance that the castle is still within the family property. So, who inherited it? A distant relative? Or did Lucian later remarry and have kids? Well, if he did, and all those times he was still brooding around for the loss of Alexandra, I kinda worry if the hypothetical descendant developed any angst, or again, needed therapy of some sort. Like the collector's edition of other HOPA games, the collector's edition of this game also contains replayable cutscenes, music, wallpaper, and concept art, strategy guide, achievements, and of course, the epilogue bonus game. The epilogue bonus game focuses on the caretaker's painful past. Here, there's no map available, but fortunately, there are only a few scenarios, so there's less back and forth when picking up clues. Compared with the main game, the story plot of the epilogue is more credible. I must say that the epilogue is soap opera levels, so be prepared to bring out your tissue boxes, kids. As of this video, Boom Zap Entertainment is still very much around and creating hidden objects and other casual games, so we might still have a chance to see another Dana Knightstone in the future. Fingers crossed. So that wraps up our Throwback Thursday gaming. Once again, this is the HOPA Gamer, and thank you for watching. So be sure to be on the lookout when we